Forget the romantic movie version. Pop culture turned this into a beautiful fantasy, all cherry blossoms and witty banter with handsome samurai. You think being born a geisha in feudal Japan means floating around in silk, fan in hand, trading clever jokes over tea? Forget that completely. Being born a geisha means entering an exhausting system of debt bondage, toxic cosmetics, and psychological control where your body and your future belong to a business from the moment you can walk. Today we go through all 8 chapters of this so-called elite life, and by the end you will never look at a geisha postcard the same way again. Let's go! The sale. Your first terrible detail. You never had a choice in any of this. Geisha houses did not run job postings or hold open auditions for enthusiastic young talent. They acquired girls from desperately poor farming families during hard years. If the harvest failed, if there were too many mouths and not enough rice, your loving father calculated your odds of surviving at home against the guaranteed payment a house mistress was offering, and he sold you, usually around age 5, sometimes younger. The transaction was completely legal, completely normal, and completely final. From that moment, your birth family essentially erases you from their daily life. You are now, legally and financially, the property of the house mother, known as the Okaya-san, which literally translates to mother, a title dripping with irony considering what comes next. She pays an upfront fee for your arrival and immediately opens a ledger in your name. That ledger lists your purchase price, and from this day forward, every meal, every lesson, every scrap of clothing gets added to it as a debt. You will spend your entire working life trying to pay off a bill you never agreed to and never saw the actual paperwork for. Mop duty. You think they hand you a shamisen and start teaching you delicate music on day 1? Adorable assumption. Your actual first rank is called Shikomi, the house servant, and you are about to learn that elegance is built directly on top of suffering nobody talks about in the brochures. You are the lowest ranking person in the entire building, with 0 rights, 0 privacy, and 0 say in anything that happens to you. Your day starts around 4 in the morning, well before sunrise. You scrub wooden floors until they shine under candlelight. You haul and wash mountains of laundry belonging to senior geisha and clients. You clean spittoons used by paying guests the night before, a task that is exactly as glamorous as it sounds. You run errands through freezing winter streets, frequently without proper shoes, because shoes cost money and you have not earned the right to any yet. If you cry during any of this, you get hit, sometimes with a hand, sometimes with whatever happens to be nearby. The house mistress is watching you very closely during this entire phase, evaluating something specific, whether your spirit breaks. If it does, if you become too withdrawn or too damaged to be useful as an entertainer later, she simply resells you, often to a cheaper and considerably rougher brothel down the street. This is quite literally the natural selection process operating inside what history books like to call the refined world of traditional Japanese arts. Broken ankles. If you survive the floor scrubbing gauntlet, congratulations. You get promoted to trainee, known as a maiko. This is where they stop testing your endurance and start actively reshaping your physical body to fit the brand. You are trained to walk in the geisha shuffle, tiny, mincing steps with your knees angled slightly inward, a posture that photographs beautifully and feels, according to surviving accounts, like a slow-motion orthopedic injury you sign up for voluntarily every single day. To prevent you from walking naturally pigeon-toed, which apparently ruins the aesthetic, they strap your feet into okobo, heavy, lacquered, wooden platform sandals standing 4 to 5 inches tall, balanced on nothing more than a narrow block underneath. Now picture taking a balance exam on wet, uneven stone streets during a rainstorm, in the dark, carrying a tray, while wearing what is essentially a pair of mobile coffee tables strapped to your feet. You fall, you split your lip open on the cobblestones. The correct response, per house etiquette, is to get up immediately and smile, because visibly, falling down is considered deeply inelegant, and nobody in this business is interested in your bleeding knees or your opinion about wooden footwear engineering. The poison. Now let's discuss the legendary white face makeup everyone associates with geisha. Your flawless porcelain complexion is not a soft focus camera filter. It is oshiroi, a lead-based white powder mixed into a paste and applied directly onto bare skin every single working day for years. Over time, lead absorbs steadily into the bloodstream through repeated skin contact. Documented historical effects include severe skin lesions, organ damage, nerve damage, and in advanced long-term cases, symptoms resembling slow cognitive decline. Your face is quite literally a daily chemistry experiment with no control group and no informed consent, and that is only half the beauty routine. Feudal fashion also demanded blackened teeth, a practice called ohaguro, achieved using a solution of iron filings dissolved and fermented in vinegar for days until it turns into a dark, foul liquid you then paint directly onto your enamel. Historical accounts describe the smell as comparable to garbage left out in summer. The mixture also steadily corrodes tooth enamel over repeated applications, meaning the beauty treatment is simultaneously destroying the thing it is decorating. Samurai of the era found this look genuinely attractive and refined. Meanwhile, you are quietly rotting from both directions at once, lead seeping into your skin and acid eating your teeth, all in service of a beauty standard you had zero input in creating. The pillow. Your hair deserves its own dedicated horror chapter. A proper geisha hairstyle built using hot wax, oils, and elaborate styling combs can take several hours to construct from scratch. Because of the expense, the labor, and the sheer time involved, this elaborate style was typically only redone about once a week, which immediately raises an obvious question. How do you sleep for 7 consecutive nights without crushing this architectural achievement against a regular pillow? You don't use a regular pillow. You sleep on a takamakura, a small hard wooden neck rest specifically engineered to suspend your hairstyle in the air above the bedding while you sleep. To make absolutely certain you do not cheat in the middle of the night and roll onto a normal cushion out of pure exhausted desperation, the house mistress scatters fine rice powder around the base of the headrest before bed. If you shift positions or roll over during the night, the disturbed rice is right there in the morning as physical evidence, an ancient surveillance system built entirely out of grain, hairstyle ruined, wax flattened on one side, rice scattered everywhere, and a beating waiting for you before breakfast. The documented long-term physical results among working geisha included noticeable thinning hair and permanent bald patches at the crown, frequently visible by their mid-20s, alongside chronic neck pain and stiffness that never fully resolved for the rest of their working lives. All in service of a hairstyle most clients saw for maybe 2 hours during a single evening banquet. The debt. You have finally debuted as a full geisha. You are finally, after years of scrubbing floors and bleeding into wooden sandals, actually earning money from paying clients. Do not celebrate yet, and please sit down for this part. Every single payment a client makes goes directly to the house mistress. Not to you, never to you. Why? Because according to the ledger she opened when you were 5 years old, you still owe her for your childhood food, your years of training, your wardrobe, and most catastrophically, your kimono collection. A single high-end silk kimono, hand-painted and seasonally appropriate, could cost roughly as much as a comfortable apartment in the same era. And a working geisha needed dozens of them across a career, one for every season, every occasion, every level of formality, each one purchased on credit by the house mistress and immediately added to your already substantial running tab. This creates a perfectly closed economic loop with no visible exit door. The more popular and in demand you become as an entertainer, the more elaborate and expensive your wardrobe requirements grow to match your rising status, and your debt expands in exact proportion to your professional success. You can be the single most requested, most celebrated geisha in the entire district, generating enormous revenue for the house every single night, while personally owning literally nothing, not even the clothes currently on your own back. The banquet. Your actual daily job is not quiet, peaceful, contemplative tea ceremonies in a garden somewhere. Your clients are samurai, which in feudal Japan means professional warriors who frequently carry real combat trauma, real authority, and very easy access to a sharp sword at all times. They arrive at evening banquets, drink heavily, sometimes to the point of complete intoxication, and occasionally become loud, unpredictable, or genuinely dangerous over the course of a long night. Your job, the actual job you trained a decade for, is to entertain an armed, increasingly drunk man for hours. Sing for him on command, play music, laugh convincingly at jokes that range from mildly amusing to actively unfunny, and simultaneously, constantly, monitor the entire room to make sure this particular guest does not turn violent toward another guest, toward a rival, or toward you personally over something as trivial as a perceived wrong glance or a poorly timed silence. You are essentially a highly trained crisis de-escalation specialist who is also expected to look effortlessly beautiful and sound musically talented while doing it. One mistimed word, one wrong facial expression, at the wrong moment, and your entire career, possibly your entire life, could end right there, on that exact tatami mat before the night is over. The exit. You cannot simply decide one day that you are finished and walk out the front door. There is no travel document in your possession, no savings account, and the original debt is still sitting in that ledger, accumulating. Realistically, there are only 3 possible endings to this story, and none of them involve a graceful retirement with a pension. First option: a wealthy older patron buys out your entire remaining contract and makes you his official mistress, meaning you trade one form of legal ownership for a slightly different one with marginally better furniture. Second option: you survive long enough, work hard enough, and somehow pay off the entire debt, after which you become the next house mistress yourself. And the historical record shows this happened constantly, meaning you now get to repeat this exact cycle on a fresh batch of terrified 5-year-old girls because the system needs new inventory and you are now the one holding the ledger. Third option, and historically documented as the single most common outcome, you simply die around age 30 from tuberculosis, from general exhaustion, or from the slow cumulative effects of years of lead-based cosmetics quietly poisoning your entire nervous system from the inside. So the next time you see a beautiful photograph of a geisha in full white makeup and elaborate silk, take one full breath and genuinely appreciate that you, right now, today, do not personally need to blacken your teeth with fermented vinegar sludge or sleep on a block of wood surrounded by tattletale rice grains just to keep one armed, drunk man entertained for an evening. Subscribe and tell us in the comments who you think actually had it worse, the gladiator or the geisha. See you next time.